Good evening, everybody. You gotta turn the humidifier off because it's right next to the microphone. And you will not like the sound of that in your ear all night. My name is Gary with JollyRogerUkulele.com. And tonight we're going to replay Hey Jude and I Want to Hold Your Hand, both on ukulele and baritone. And then we are going to look at playing Imagine. I sounded like Oprah just now. I did not sound like Oprah, but I think that that's probably where that kind of nonsense comes from. Not that it's nonsense. She knows what she's doing. Let's see. That's what I know about Oprah. Good evening, Rita. Good to see you. We have a couple minutes. Not really. Let's get started. What do you think? Couple updates just to make sure you're at where you think you are. The website is kicking out automatic emails when I do a post on the blog. Okay, finally got it set up properly. It's been a long. You can't believe how much time I've wasted on how to send out an email these days. So from here out, my plan is when I have new sheet music, I'm going to post it on the blog, and then the blog is going to kick out an email alerting you to the excitement that's going on here at JollyRogerUkulele.com. And with that, and hopefully then I won't have to send you any other emails. Like you will just magically always be up to date. So there's that. So the second thing is hopefully you got in your email box today a email saying, hey, yesterday and today, there's new sheet music for I Want to Hold Your Hand and Imagine. Okay, so now I've been getting questions. How do I get a hold of this sheet music? Well, one, you need to be a member, right? And so you click on member, and I'm not logged in on this iPad, so I log myself in. It says, try your Face ID again. And then you log in, and the sheet music is on the member page. Now, if you're not a member, obviously, then you can't get to it. And so don't come on Wednesdays, right? That's the easy thing. Or become a member and come on Wednesdays. One of the two, whatever makes you happy. And on the member page, boy, oh boy, oh boy, it's going to take a long time to get through all of these songs. So I might start trying to do them a little bit faster each week, but we'll just play everything really fast. But I want you to just take time to go take a look at everything on there. I don't care what order we do them in, as long as you're happy with the progress you're making. And so I want to make sure always that you are getting what you need from the program. And for the most part, what I think that means is that each week you have something to work on, something that you're trying to get better at, and that I'm here to help you do that. And for some of you, that's learning to play beyond melody. For some of you, that's to understand how chord melody works. For some of you, it's, hey, I want to start doing my own arrangements. For some of you, it's, I want to do original compositions. Whatever is working for you. At the end of the day, we all have to have a decent skill set, and I think playing these songs is a wonderful way to keep those active and developing and changing all the time. So anyway, go make sure if you're a member to go check out the member page and see everything that's on there. And if you have something you want me to think about doing sooner rather than later, let me know about that. Robin made it in. Hey, Robin. And let's see, who else is... I see come in. Jennifer. I saw Jennifer sneak in. Okay to imagine. And yeah, so you should have, if you haven't done it yet, go do it right this second. Download Imagine, and then the new version of I Want to Hold Your Hand. Okay, I'll talk about that because Elizabeth and I had a very short conversation about that today. Robin is here. Adrian. Hey, Adrian. Good to see you. Got the email. Good. The system worked well for letting us know. Good. It sends them out 30 at a time. So they're supposed to not end up in your spam box. So it takes all night for them to go out. But yeah, so you'll get them. Maybe not all at once. Remind me that class was tonight. Yay! Right. Every Wednesday night. Okay. Most every Wednesday night. K Moss is here. You're welcome for the emails. I think of them personally, right? I dig into it personally. Linda is here. Long time. Good to see you. Pueblo West after Pueblo West. We made a joke when she moved from Denver down to Pueblo West. There's the good Pueblo and the bad Pueblo, and if you're from Denver, they're both bad. But Linda's in the good Pueblo. Let's see. Yeah, Robin, you got the email. Okay, Kat. Hey, Kat. And Elizabeth, you are here. Wonderful. All right, so we're going to continue to sort of push these emails out, talk people into becoming a member so that they can come join us and play the good stuff, right? All right, so let's play Hey Jude on ukulele, then we will play it on baritone, and then we will do the same thing with I Want to Hold Your Hand. We do have that new sheet music, right? Hey Jude, I am going to update probably tomorrow. Right now you have the May 14th, 2021 version, which is a good version. But what I've been doing is taking the tough uke and pushing it up into the standard notation. A handful of our players like playing from standard notation. They've got some background that makes that easier for them, and so they do that. It is definitely not something I encourage overly, unless ukulele is your only instrument you're ever going to play for the rest of your life, which is unlikely. It's possible. Some of you have had this a long time, but there is standard notation has a lot of good and bad about it, especially with high G ukulele. It gets very, very complicated, and you will see, we'll talk about when we get there tonight, but what I've kind of decided to do is if I'm going to put stuff up in the full arrangement up in the standard notation, I'm going to put it up as if it is for low G, because it makes a lot more sense when you're reading it. When you introduce the craziness of high G, the notes end up in these really weird situations that don't help you read better. But if I treat it as it's a low G ukulele, it all lays out perfectly. Not that I'm a fan of low G ukulele. It's one of those things that I do own. Mine's actually a low F because I think it sounds better there. But I think I want you to play high G because I think that's what makes it a ukulele. But I also know lots of you like the low G sound and you have low Gs, and so it's possible, right? There's a lot of wasted energy up here. What we want to do is play the tablature and have a good time. All right, let's see. Am I in tune? I'm continuing to threaten to change these strings. I think this weekend might be the weekend. All right, Hey Jude. On ukulele, from the top, we're going to play down to measure 1, go back to, back through measure 8, back to 1, come down. We're going to play the middle half twice. When you get to measure 21, that sends you all the way back to number 1, right? So yeah. And then, yeah. Do we have anything that's hard on this? I don't remember this being a hard song. 5. We have that A7 on there. That's about it. Yeah, this shouldn't be too bad. Let's see what happens. From the top, on ukulele, if you have a baritone in your lap, you're playing the chords on the ukulele page, just the different shapes. 1, 2, 3. To the top. Second ending. top. Whoop. Sorry. Second ending. Second ending. Not the greatest version that I've ever played of that, but the arrangement's good, right? It sounds like the song. I like it. All right. All right. There's that. Yeah, like I say, I will get you a little bit updated piece of sheet music. For most of you, if you're not into reading the standard notation, you don't need all the other nonsense. But for some of you, you like that, and so I'm going to be putting that on there and reposting it. And so you'll be getting an email about that. Although there seems to be a limit of how many emails I'm allowed to send, so we'll see what happens when we hit that limit. All right. Hey, Jude, baritone version. Ukulele players, you're playing Ds and As and Gs and E minors, right? And that's what you've got in this song. So all of those are ukulele chords that you should be pretty comfortable with at this level. If you're not, get comfortable with them. They're coming. There's more of them coming. All right. And if I remember right, this version is actually designed to be played with, like you could, if you had a baritone player and a ukulele player, play these simultaneously because they're both in the key of D. So obviously, when they're both in the same key, one of them is going to be much harder to play than the other. So the ukulele version of this is pretty easy. The baritone version of this is kind of a bear. So I'm going to make a ton of mistakes just to prove it. And then you will get a sense, I think, of how same exact key, very different sort of a general feeling about the song, which is kind of interesting just because the instrument changes. Okay? So from the top, play. If you're on ukulele, play the chords. 1, 2, 3. Back to the top. right, back to the top. Measure 10. And then the very end. That is way harder to play than the ukulele version. So if you're going to play that, play the ukulele version. Works, right? Just a lot harder to play. All right, good. Nice job, you guys. All right, let's take a look at I Want to Hold Your Hand, the new version. And I, of course, got so busy playing from my laptop that I didn't actually put it into the iPad. So let me go grab it. I Want to Hold Your Hand. And we'll talk very briefly about what's different with this, only because I think it's important for you to kind of have a sense of, hey, oh, yeah, it's going to open it up brand new. Interesting. You know, why does this matter? Whether it's good for you or not. Sometimes this stuff is helpful, sometimes it's not. And what I want you to get a sense of is, hey, there's a whole bunch of junk on this page now. Do I need any of that? And the answer might very likely be, hey, no, you really don't. I want to hold your hand. Let me add it in here. I want to hold your hand. TUVW. Dink, dink. Okay. We'll get rid of these. I'll leave them here now to remind me to delete them. So if I'm looking at the ukulele one, here's how I think about sheet music for the ukulele. It's supposed to be for high G. Ukulele has supposed to have a high G. High G is what makes a ukulele a ukulele. However, as you become a more advanced musician, you start to realize that there's some, it would be sure nice to have 4 extra notes on here, right? And when you hear a chord strummed on this, sounds lovely. When it's heard on a low G, it sounds lovelier. From a very kind of old-fashioned sense, because there's that bass sound in it. It's got a little bit more big, whole, rounded sound to it. And it's not that I'm against it. I just feel like, boy, if you when you go with a low G, you just sort of, there's something about that high G that just makes ukulele so joyful. And when you go to low G, it's good. It's probably more musical from things making sense on your instrument. And Rita says, hey, I can sing with it better if it has a low G on it, because it's consistently kind of pulling the overall tonality of the instrument down. So there are a lot of reasons to play low G. I'm not discounting that. I just think you should play high G, right? However, when it comes to sheet music, I do these lovely little tablatures, right? I write all the melody, melody, and then I add in the chords underneath where they fit in as many as I can, so it sounds kind of cool. And then I have my tough uke. And then the problem is that I then have lots of students now, lots from all over the world, and they really grew up in music in some other instrument, and they have fallen desperately in love with standard notation, and they want that on their sheet music. Now, I've always given you the melody line in standard notation, mostly for singers, and then for new people to pluck the melody, right? But it's just people have kind of just continually pushed, hey, I want the full tough uke arrangement in the melody line, and so I'm kind of caving in, but I want to give you give you some things I'm doing to maybe help not be quite so weird. So one thing I decided is that in the standard notation, I'm going to assume you have a low G instrument. That way I don't. So for example, if you look at measure 3, go to measure 3. You have a D minor as your chord, and underneath it you have a bunch of notes. Now, if you have a low G ukulele, that bottom note is an A note, and everything makes sense from a standard notation situation. However, if you have a high G ukulele, that A at the bottom of that stack is actually an octave higher. Well, what's the problem with that? Well, it bumps into the melody note that's also an A. So you have one A that's supposed to be an eighth note and a different A that's supposed to be a half note. And it causes nothing but chaos in the standard notation line, making it not very helpful. So if I pretend you don't have a high G but that you have a low G, the standard notation reads pretty clearly. If you have a high G, all you have to know is you're going to play this exactly like the tablature says. But instead of a low G coming out here, you're going to get this high G. And on the sheet music's going to just catch on fire while you're playing it, and it's fine, right? But just know, if there are notes below middle C and you're playing a high G instrument, those notes come out an octave higher. Perfectly fine, okay? But you have to know that too. If you're going to play high G and use standard notation, it's not going to be helpful for you to have because I did a couple of sheets already and posted them on the website, and as I was posting them, I'm like, these are not good. This is not what this is not helpful. And so you do have, in this situation, if you're playing low G ukulele, you have the exact standard notation up there. If you're playing high G ukulele, you have the exact standard notation up there, except every note that's below middle C is going to come out an octave higher. And if you read the standard notation, you're going to have to do that in your head yourself, but you shouldn't be doing that anyway. You should be reading the tablature. This whole entire process, this entire exercise is about, hey, tablature is going to give you everything you need to know except how the music flows, right? And that's what you use the standard notation for. So that's kind of a long discussion about stuff you may or may not care about. The other thing that's on here is I decided to start posting these in color. For those of you who have black and white printers and still are playing on paper, it's just fine. It'll come out black and in white, and it'll be great, and it's perfectly fine. But if you have an iPad, it's kind of nice. You can look through those blue notes and you're like, oh, the blue notes are the accompaniment and the black notes are the main melody. Now I'm starting to see how all of this is coming together. It's a little easier to visualize, I think, with the colored notation. And and then the instructions, most of the instructions are red, and that's just the color. And so I have the ability to make these all sorts of different colors. I just think that this looks kind of sophisticated and kind of cool, but it kind of helps you in many ways get around the paper. So as you're playing through these next week, and especially those of you guys that are using standard notation, give me some feedback. Let me know what you think. I think this is the way we're going to do it going forward, because I just don't think it makes sense to do high G standard notation and just get this mess of notes that are all kind of crumbled up together. This high string makes all kinds of challenges that standard notation doesn't anticipate. And it's important to remember standard notation is built for singers and trumpet players and flautists, they play one note at a time, right? And standard notation is perfect for that. Even in piano, where you have all these bazillion keys, but they all just make one single note. There's no other note like it on there. So again, it makes perfect sense for piano. When you get guitar, ukulele, banjo, all these other instruments where we have lots of A notes all over the thing, then you're like, what the hell? How is this going to possibly ever work in standard notation? And it's why it doesn't. It just, why in banjo they don't even waste their time pretending they're going to play from standard notation. It's all tab. Yeah. So there you go. Okay. I want to hold your hand. We went over this last week. The tablature is the same as last week. The only difference is that the standard notation is way fancier. Okay. From the top, I think I fixed two. Oh, there was a couple of chords that I needed to fix, and I fixed those. All right, here we go. From the top. 1, 2, 3. To 1. Page 2. Boy, that's hard. Back to page 1, number 1. Whoops, I didn't jump. In measure 10, we should have jumped to measure 25. Sorry, I should have mentioned that. Let's go to 25. Let's finish it up. God, Gary. Measure 25. 1, 2, ready, play. right, so I messed up the ending pretty good there. Remember, I put the double bar at measure 11 to hopefully help you remind you. And last week, I, of course, had nice little yellow phrasing on there to remind myself, hey, the third time around, when you get there, make sure that you honor that coda. And of course, I put a new piece of sheet music just now, no yellow mark on it, blew right through it. Okay, so that's a good reminder. I need my highlighter on here to make my brain work correctly. And then when you get to measure 10, you jump over to 25. It's more or less the same as 11 and 12, except the ending, of course, is different because you're coming into the end of the song. And just remember, because I didn't remember it very well at all, when you get to 20, the last two notes in 27, you kind of want to start slowing this down a lot. I want to hold your hand, kind of thing, right? So no singer would ever do that, but you want to phrase it as if that's a singing thought. I want to hold your hand, kind of thing, right? Yeah. All right, so that's that. All right, let's see if I do any better playing the baritone version. I want to hold your hand. Baritone, ukulele players, these are all your chords. We talked about this last week. You should be able to strum right along with me. 8 strums per measure, right? Oh yeah, I'll tell you something. I think you'll understand. Right? Do it like that. Do it like you're at the ukulele strum along. Have fun with it. Turn it into something. Those of us on baritone, we're going to play this nice and slow and beautiful and try to turn it into this thing where you're going to get to hold your hand. When we go to the gym, I make my wife hold my hand when we're walking into the building. Drives her bananas. I don't know why. I think that's funny. I think it's hilarious. She's like, I don't need to do. What are you doing? All right. Chink, chink, chink. And chink. All right. Yellow highlighter on your paper. From the top. 1, 2, 3. To the top. Not yet. Now page 2. 5. That's a better ending, right? That's what we're supposed to do. All right. Robin is saying she has both high G and low G ukulele. Yeah, again, I think having a little of everything hanging around your house is not a bad idea. In my immediate vicinity here, I have a couple of high G ukuleles, a couple of baritones, a couple of guitars, a balalaika. I got a violin, 2 violins, mandolin. I got a banjo too. So you got strings. You stretch them out. You pluck at them, right? And it's great. Oh, thank you, Kat. So hopefully you guys are sounding beautiful at home too, right? This is not about me because I'm sounding pretty. Kat's very sweet, but she knows that I'm hacking my way through this. Now. Time to talk about hacking your way through something. All right. So next week we'll drop Hey Jude. We'll play I Want to Hold Your Hand one more time just to make sure that there's nothing else I need to fix on it. But I think it's perfect. I don't think we need to mess with the sheet music anymore. So let's take a look at Imagine. And Imagine baritone, Imagine ukulele. These are both dated February 25th. So let's take a look at them. Now, as you guys know, I've probably mentioned it 1,000 times. Born in 1964. By the time I was paying any attention to music, there was a thing called Led Zeppelin out there, and I had zero interest in anything but Beatles. And so I approached the Beatles as I know that it's important to a certain segment of our society. The young kids are rediscovering the Beatles and they're like, hey, that's good music, right? So I am 100% on board with studying this stuff, but it doesn't mean that much to me. And of all of the songs that were created, this one drives me, I don't know, there's just something really cloying about it, and I don't know what it is. Mostly it's wonderful, right? It's a kind of a simple piece. It's actually quite beautiful in many respects. I think the words are I don't know if I should say the word naive, but I sure wish they had been right in 1971, and the way things are going now is not the same. But anyway, I don't know. The whole song itself drives me a little bonkers, but it sounds really nice on ukulele. So who cares what Gary thinks? Like, let's play it. It does come up all the time at Christmas time, so it's a song you can play anytime. But if you have it ready, when it gets around to Christmas, people are like, oh, I like that song. Okay, now, the beginning obviously is the iconic part, and you don't want to play it any faster than you can play the 16th notes in measure 2 and measure 4, okay? Because I'll show you what's going to happen. Ba-dum, 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 bum, 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 bum. Okay, however fast you can play bum, 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 bum. That's how fast you can play the song, okay? So that little doodly-doo right there tells you how fast you can play it. So if you can play that real fast, you can play the whole song pretty fast. I have found, for whatever reason, 1, 2, 3, dum, 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 dum. Okay, so I have been working on this for a couple of years now, and I always say that. I hate this song, and then I spend all the years working on it. 1, 2, I mean, really think about when you get there. 1, 2, 3, and think about it as really this 3 needs to come down in the same space. 1, 2, 3, dum, dum, dum. So that gets you that introduction, and both for melody players, I saw Kay Moss logged in tonight, and she is been sitting with me patiently through the book 1 and book 2 stuff, and so I know that she's a newer player, and I always tell newer players, hey, play the melody, play the melody, play the melody, play the melody. And those of you guys that have been around a while, you're like, yeah, you really do want to play the melody, because all the other stuff is just decoration. It's not a big deal. But getting the melody right, it's either right or it's wrong type thing, right? So you want to get the melody right. And in this situation, both Tough Uke and melody are identical. They're exactly the same thing, because it's so iconic. When people hear, the other day I was working on this, and I went, this is exactly what happened. And my wife said from the kitchen, oh, John Lennon, right? So 4 notes in, and she knew exactly what we were doing. And so just know you want to get these right, because they're going to determine your audience's reaction. All right, then there's a whole bunch of stuff that is definitely not hard to play. Definitely book 1 level type stuff, okay? So let's go. If you're on baritone, just play the chords, I guess. But if you're on ukulele, play right along with me. You can do it. If you're on melody, play melody. If you're on chords, play chords, okay? I mean, Tough Uke. And, oh, the other thing is, the singer comes in late, right? Strum, imagine there's no heaven, blunk, blunk, blunk. Strum, it's easy if you try, blunk, blunk, blunk. Strum, no hell. Okay, so remember, if you're singing, you got to wait until you hear the chord and then you sing, okay? The other thing that drives me, when I'm writing songs, there's no way I would ever do this. This is the difference between John Lennon and Gary, right? None of those have the same count in those spaces. So imagine there's versus no hell, right? And you're like, wait, why don't you just make the same number of syllables? But apparently he thought the words mattered. All right, from measure 5. 1, 2, ready, go. Hold it. Slide up to 7, and then you've got your pinky on 7, right? You have used your, at the beginning of 13, you hit that F chord, pinky, then you just take your index finger off to get the A minor with the 3 on top. So you should have ended up with your pinky. Slide up to 7. While you're playing those 2 7s, your bar is coming down on 5 and your ring is going up to the other 7, to the top 7. So that one moment there is not in book 1. That's definitely a book 2 skill, right? And you want to get it right. You go from the 3 to the 7 twice to the bar with your ring finger, okay? And if you get that, that's I think that's the hardest part in the song, okay? Keep moving on. 15. Pinky on the 3, and then remember, your low G and your high G7 are the same fingers. The only difference is as you're sliding out from the G shape to that high G7, is your ring finger is going to go up to the 7th fret instead of the 6th fret. So, okay, and here again, there's a place where I'm living for today. I might let that go for a while. 7, 10, whoops, 7, 10, 7, 5, 3. Now, I have been fighting this a little bit over the years, and I think still ring, pinky, ring, middle, index. If you have a shorter ukulele, it's probably easier. If you have a baritone, that's a lot of stretching, so you may want to rethink the fingering, but I've sort of just... I kind of just go ahead and give me the big chord on the first string and play it that way. I think there's other fingering choices, but that works. All right, now, you're getting ready. Those of you with 3-ring binders, make page 1 be its own thing, and then turn the page, and then put pages 2 and 3 face to face, because then you don't have to turn the page again, because then you'll be able to do your repeat without that. Okay, always trying to remember of you guys, right? How are you going to use this in the book? You got this stupid repeat. I would love to have the repeats facing each other, and in this case you do. So page 1, play it, move on. Okay, pages 2 and 3 face each other. If you're on an iPad, get a pedal. You can see me all the time reaching down, dancing around on my pedal. Okay, now again, this next section is just the same thing you've already played with different timing a little bit. Imagine there's no countries, blah, 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 blah. Strum, it isn't hard to do, blah, 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 blah. And nothing to kill or die for, blah, 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 blah. Strum, and with no religion too, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so there's that, right? That's the same as what we just played. And then again, when we get down to this number 20, let's start at 26. Go from there. Imagine. Okay. Okay, so you've got that F chord again, same exact situation. Pinky open, A minor with the pinky, slide to 7. Bars going on 5 with your ring finger on the top. Bum, bum, bum. G chord, bum, bum, bum. Pinky slide. Okay, now here's where you get messed up, right? The first time you go and land on a C chord. This time you have to remember, and you might write it at the very bottom, you're going to go to an F chord. Oops. Undo. You're going to go to an F chord on the next page. If you're on iPad, you're like, well, I probably went to a C chord before, I'm probably going to go to a C chord again. No. Okay? Bum, bum, ba-da, F chord. Okay? G chord. And here's my favorite part of the song. This is these beautiful E7s in here. They are in the key of C. They make sense. You'll notice that there's a sharp there, and you'll notice that that sharp is on what note? Drum roll. It's on a B. B sharps go try to get to C's. Okay, B sharps try to go to C's. Okay, and but in not they don't go to C yet. They're going to go back to F. Go, another E7, trying to get to a C. Nope, not yet. Finally, there's the C. Another A7, back to the F, keep it going. Okay, now you're coming out of this F with your pinky on the 3. Again, slide your pinky up to 5 and just grab index and middle for your G chord. And this again, now that whole section there is, I think you're going to have any problems playing. What I do think is that you got these darn 16th notes at the beginning of 37, and they'll come back at 38 when we come back around to do the repeat. And you got to be fast. Okay, now I put on the 0033 here just because it sounds cool. But you don't have to do that. You can do a regular C chord there. Okay, B is 1, but if you can do 3, bum, bum, or even leave a 3 there. Maybe, I don't know, I'm going to put a 3 question mark on the next to last note there. But that's not really the issue. The issue is you got to be fast. That's what you got to do. So make sure that happens right. And the world will be as one. That's how it's sung, right? And the world, it's like there's not very much melody in there. And the world will be as one. Be as one. Right? So a singer can do that kind of easily, but we can't on ukulele, right? So we got to get that. You got to be fast. You got to be ready for it. Okay? Hit that repeat. It goes back to number 18. I should have wrote that on the paperwork, to number 18. And then we'll play that whole section again. Again, on that section I don't think it's particularly challenging. You guys will all be fine with it. Again, you get to 38. Now let's talk about this ending just a little bit because you want to get it right. And the world will, and you go to 38. Again, the same thing. And then go kind of fast. Don't treat these as quarter notes. When you get to be as one. Okay, so the 2 there is, by the time you get to the 2, you should almost be stopped, right? Ba-dum, 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 bum, bum, bum. That's what I'm thinking of here. Okay, so that 2 is going to be that moment. All right, that's that B hanging out there. It's not a B sharp. It's not as good. B sharp is a C. What was I telling to you? Was I lying to you? Yeah, I am lying to you. That E7, that's not a B sharp. Sorry, G sharp. G sharp's when I go to A. That's why they're getting away with going to F. What am I talking about? Don't listen to me. I'm making no sense. You got a B, that B at the end, and then. Okay, and so I apologize. When I was talking E7, I meant the G sharp, not the B sharp. B sharp. Guess what B sharp is? Real quick. What's the B sharp? Psh, C. All right. That's it. Baritone's the same. Instead of playing in the key of C on baritone, you're going to be playing in the key of G, and I think, right? Yep. And everything is identical. Okay, so just know that you are going to end up with 2 really good pieces, whichever ukulele you want to play it on. And again, I almost always play on high G, and it sounds great that way, but it's going to sound absolutely lovely on a low G as well. And the sheet music, the standard notation is set up for low G. And then baritone, of course. Baritone kind of like when you're comparing them to, when I play one and then the other, you're usually like, ooh, that baritone sounds better than the high G. Not really, right? It sounds different, and it sounds big and bold and full and all this, but it's not a ukulele in the sense of there's not something crazy about it. It's just, everything's in order. It makes sense. Okay, hopefully I said something that made some impression on your head. And thank you all for being here, by the way. JollyRogerUkulele.com. And the first 100 and some lessons are free. And if you become a member, you can come and play this cool stuff with us. And yeah, so melody, chords and melody together. Get the rhythm right. Play slow, play everything slow, and you'll be a happy ukulele player. We're going to keep you going. I got a bajillion songs on that page that I'm going to fix, and another bajillion that I need to get finished typing up and getting posted there. So over the next couple of years, I think we're going to have a whole lot of excitement on the site, and hopefully we can kind of just keep this these evening hour-long sessions going to give you a reason to get your ukulele out and play, and maybe have a little fun. So there we go. Y'all are welcome. Good to see so many of you, and go play some John, Paul, George, and we have Ringo even coming up. We have, is it Yellow Submarine or Octopus? I think he did Yellow Submarine, and I think George did While My Guitar Gently Weeps. So all that stuff's coming. We got all 4 of the Fab 4 coming up, and it'll be fun. So keep checking in. I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.